trace garden glove sections to paper side of fusible webbing. Attach fusible to wrong side of corresponding fabrics. When attaching fusible to cuff fabric, be sure vertical lines transferred to fusible piece run parallel with the stripe on the fabric. Cut out fused designs along the outer edges. Remove paper from cutout applique pieces. Arrange them on your applique pressing sheet and fuse them in place. Fuse down your cutout scraps because you can use them for testing. I've dabbed out a few dots of Heritage Pine number 94 and swirled it into my ink dauber. I'm going to shade the cuffs of the garden gloves. This little piece here is almost totally underneath, so I'm just going to kind of darken it in a little bit everywhere. This section here is the top cuff, and this is the very top of it. So this is the side. I'm going to shade it a little darker, and I'm going to shade that just a little bit in the center here and the edges. Here's where it folds over to the side, and that's shading the cuffs. I've dabbed a bit of number 16 Peony Purple out onto my plate. Found my purple dauber, and I'm going to buff some of that color into my dauber, and I'm going to swirl a little bit up into the green. I found that just the straight purple is a bit too bright for this project, so mixing it with a little bit of the green dulls it down just a bit to make it look a little better. This is a release paper for this section of glove fingers, and I've cut it apart along the detail lines. I'm going to use this piece as a shield to shade these two fingers of the glove. First, I want to test it on my testing scrap to see if I've got a nice color coverage. Oh yeah, that's going to look nice. I'm going to cover my finger and buff some ink into the space just above this portion of the paper. I think I want a little more there. I'm going to rub a little more ink into my dauber. Set the shield. Position the second piece of release paper. And buff off that edge of the shield. There you go. Buff in some additional shading along the edges where the bottoms of the fingers are. And that buffs in your gloves. Repeat the process for this section of fingers. Same process. I moved my applique pressing sheet around a little bit to make it easier to hold the shield to buff the thumb and index finger. I'm going to buff in pretty much the whole thumb. It sits mostly in the shadow, so it's going to be darker everywhere. Remove the shield. I'm darken in the bottom of the finger since it hangs over the window ledge and doesn't get much light either. Shade in a little bit of shadow right here. Leave this part pretty open because it gets quite a bit of light, and that's the index finger and the thumb. I finished shading the glove sections, the cuffs, and the index finger and thumb. I'm going to cover them with a paper towel. My iron is set on a cotton setting, And I'm going to heat set them the same way I did the flower pots. Leave the iron on there until the surface is hot enough. I can't leave my hand on it. Once that's done, I'm going to remove the paper towel. Let the pieces cool. And then carefully remove them from the applique pressing sheet. Clean off your applique pressing sheet with a baby wipe. Wipe it dry with a paper towel. To finish your gloves, place the glove layout sheet underneath the applique pressing sheet. Match section 1 of the gloves to the pressing sheet. Match section 2, this little back part of the cuff, to the applique pressing sheet. Match the main part of the cuff. Match the second set of fingers. Last, place the index finger and the thumb. Oh, I don't know if you can see this, but I need to move the cuff down just a little bit because I'm not quite covered here. I'm going to peel this back, adjust these a little bit. There we go. And my garden gloves are complete. When you have your garden gloves just the way you want them, fuse them using an iron-on cotton setting. This will stick all the pieces together. When it's cool, you can peel it off in one set of garden gloves and move it to your project. Thanks for watching. Please visit my website for more videos related to this pattern.